Hey guys, welcome back to Shop Dog Fabrication. So today, I finally got around to pulling the transmission out. Engine's sitting over here. It's all freshened up. It's ready to go back in. But since I had it all apart, I decided, you know what, it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and just inspect it. I had a couple of little minor leaks that just kept nagging at me. So I'm going to pull this thing apart. One, just to inspect the clutches because, I may have run it just a hair low. I just want to make sure that the clutches aren't burnt. It's only got about 3,000 miles on the transmission, and maybe 35 passes on it, roughly. So this thing should be good for several more years. Really, with the amount of horsepower I'm running and what I'm doing with it. But because I was having these pesky little leak issues, I'm going to go ahead and pull the transmission apart real fast, just inspect the clutches. I don't have to mess with any of the seals, really, other than the front pump seal, the big one here that, goes around there. But other than that, that's really the only one. And, obviously the transmission pan. I got a new transmission pan gasket I'm going to try. It's got it's a metal gasket with like a coating on either side. And then it's got like this orange stuff around it, to seal up all the bullet holes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try that style of gasket instead of like the rubber cork style that I've used in the past, just to make sure that's good. So with that said, I'm going to go set up the camera. I'm going to flip this sucker over. We're going to pull the oil pan off of it. We're going to pull the valve body out of it, loosen the bands up, pop the front pump out of this thing, and then pull the forward reverse drums out of it. Release the snap rings, just take a look at the clutches, and if the clutches look good in both drums, then I'm just going to slap this thing back together, and then seal her up real good. So kind of follow along and I'll show you what it takes to really take one apart. They're a very simple transmission. In fact, I found one on Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. I'm probably going to go buy it and probably going to rebuild it. And I may not build it into a race transmission, but I may build it, and sell it to somebody. That'll be a nice freshened up transmission. So what I'll do is I'll walk you guys through a full rebuild if I'm able to pick this thing up, what it takes to rebuild a 904. Like I said, it's a very simple, very base transmission. Anyway, let me set up the camera and we'll pull this sucker apart and take a quick peek at it and make sure she's okay and pop it all back together. I put a couple magnets in the bottom of the pan, and you'll notice here there's a little grit there. Looks like from, I don't know what that's from, but the magnets are pretty clean. There's just a little bit of normal friction material wear. Really don't see any metal to speak of. There's a couple of little flakes in there, but that's probably just from the new clutches, breaking in a little bit. Sometimes on the edges, a little bit will kind of come off, but otherwise, man, this pan is nice and clean for the most part. So I'll just kind of clean this out and take the gasket off, put the new gasket on. So the pan looks really, really good and clean. Since I've got it apart, I will put a new filter in. I do not recommend using the brass ones. I don't care for those. I like these Dacron ones a little better. Personal preference. Some people like the brass ones. I like this style better. It does a much better job if it starts going south to capture, metal shavings and stuff instead of going throughout your valve body and everything else. I'm actually running a reverse manual valve body in mine. Mine is from Cope Racing Transmissions, or CRT. It does not have a brake on it, just a manual, valve body, manual reverse. So with that said, this has a spacer on it because I am running a deeper transmission pan, and this is, I believe, by like RT Off-Road. It carries 1 extra quart of transmission fluid, and what's nice about it, it's got a drain plug as well. So if you want to just change out your fluid, you can just hit the drain plug and let it go. One thing I highly recommend you do if you go this route is I found these to work really good. I started using these and it helps. These little metal washers have like a coating on them to seal up, and you can order these in packs. Believe it or not, these are Toyota washers for like Prius and stuff. They don't slip over, just slip on top. You have to kind of thread it onto the thread, but it works really good. You can buy these off Amazon, pretty inexpensive, and they work really good for sealing up your drain plug. So with that said, now I've got the pan off. Let me remove the filter. I'll remove the spacer here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull the valve body off. Now be careful when you pull this because you don't want to damage your selector seal over here. Right, there we go. Let me go ahead and set this aside. This band here on the side, and then we'll loosen this band up here so then we can pull the drums out. So basically, sit down on the floor. All right, so you can see a little better here. So I'm also running a different one of these for my bands. I'm running also a different piston, billet piston here. Different spring setup as well because of the reverse manual valve body. So I'm running Kevlar bands in my transmission. So I need to loosen this band from outside over here. So then I can pull this drum out. And then I need to loosen this band here from this. So I can pull this drum out. And then, you know, we can take a look and see what's going on. Make sure everything's okay. But I also need to pull the front pump out, obviously, before I can do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosen the bands up. And then I'll show you guys how to pull the front pump. All right, that band is loose. Now my bands that I'm running are from A&A transmission. You can see this is also from A&A transmission. I don't remember what size that is now. There's different sizes depending on what you're doing, but these are Kevlar bands as well. And I am, like I said, running the Cope manual valve body. I'm also running Alto Red clutches. I am running 5 in one drum, 4 in the other. So I'm running thinner steels where I can put 5 frictions in, so I get a better clamping force. And I can show you that in a minute. All right, front band is nice and loose. Now we'll go ahead and we'll pull the front pump out. All right, guys. So first thing I need to do is remove these 6 pump bolts. And then there's two of these that will thread a couple nuts on, and I'll use a slide hammer, or a couple of bolts, I should say, and I'll use a slide hammer to pop the front pump off. I believe it's like here, and I think it's this one and this one, or this one and this one. I'll have to double check them to see which two, but you know, I'll take these out and I'll find the one that we can thread it, because you do not want to thread into the case, the aluminum case. You can actually thread into the pump, use a slide hammer, and rock it, you know, back and forth, and I'll show you that. All right, guys, so you can see, here's the tool, basically a little slide hammer. I more or less just welded a bolt to a nut, and I can take this bolt, and it is this one here and this one here that I can thread this into, and then slide hammer it, take my time, hit it this side, hit this side, hit it this side, you know, and slowly rock this out. And there you guys go. That's how you pull a front pump off a Mopar. So now we can go ahead and carefully pull this out. All right. And then what we'll do here in just a moment, I just need to remove this big snap ring. Then I need to remove this plate, and then we can take a look at our frictions right here and just make sure that they're okay. Try not to lose this little washer either. So let me set this. Go ahead and pull the band out. And looking at the band, you can see, maybe you can see it, but it still has the writing where it says heavy duty Kevlar. So the band isn't even worn in really yet. You can see the band is in great condition. Try not to lose this guy. Go set him with the other stuff. Actually, go right here on the magnet tray. All right. All right, now we got our planetary stuff out of the way. Let me go set this aside. So this is your planetary set. You know, you can just inspect your gears to make sure, you know, your planets are all in good condition. All right, so again, planetary that rests inside of here. And now, all right, there we go. So here's our next set, right? Just to do an inspection to make sure, this is aluminum, just wanted to make sure it's not getting burred and galled real bad. Looks to be in great condition. So everything looks good here. Again, whoops, a little bit of fluid leaking. Again, you can see band's in great condition. No wear on it. You can still read it. So being a Kevlar band, this sucker is going to last a while and give me some excellent grip, you know, on the drums. So now let's go take a look at the frictions and just to make sure they're good. And that was the primary reason for pulling this down. I just want to pull a couple out, make sure they're in good shape. And then now, if I know everything is good, I'm going to order just a seal kit, just so I can make sure, you know, I get a new front pump seal here, you know, make sure I get a new selector lever seal, that kind of thing, because just in case I nicked them or damaged them, I'd rather spend a few bucks to make sure everything is good before I put it all back together, knowing that, you know, my drums are in great shape, my bands are in great shape, you know, my frictions and my steels are in great shape, and then I can just reassemble this. So let me go clean the workbench up a little bit, and we'll go take a look at the frictions. All right, guys, so I've got the one drum here torn apart. You can see my friction looks excellent. No wear whatsoever, you know, nothing that's being burned. Now, you're probably going, wait a minute, this one should have the crosshatch in it, right? You're absolutely right, it should have the crosshatch in it. I talked to John Cope Racing Transmissions, and when I ordered a bunch of stuff from him, you know, I ordered the choline steels here, and he did not have any more of the Alto Reds with the crosshatch. But what he recommended to do is to drill holes, okay, every 90 degrees here on my friction or on my steels, and then you can still run, you know, this style of friction in it. So I'm running this is an 062 friction, and I don't remember the thickness of the steel. I think it's roughly a 60,000 steel as well. In fact, if you look close, you can still read the numbering on the friction. So this frictions are in great shape, nothing to worry about. You can see in the next one down as well, it's in great condition. So my frictions in this drum are in good shape. Now let's take a look at this drum. So I started to pull the stamp ring off. We'll take a quick look here. And I can already tell, just looking at the edge there, it's in great shape. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice red. That's what we want to see, you know? So no burn marks, not even a hint of anything burning. So, you know, this is doing, like, I have no worries whatsoever. So like I said, this is my off-season maintenance program that I'm kind of doing this year, just to make sure everything is okay with the transmission. I'd rather do it now when it's cold out and crappy than when it's, you know, when it's nice and I should be out on the track doing something or being able to drive it and enjoy it. Now I'm also running a billet here. This is, there is, I think, I don't remember how many little springs are under here, but this allows for a much faster engagement with the transmission as well versus the factory one. So I upgraded this to a billet style, and you really can't see it, I don't think, but yeah, we'll see if we can take all those out. Kind of look down in here, you see, let me see if I can get this tilted right. It may be hard to see, but there's a ton of little springs down in there. And all those, maybe that does it, a ton of little springs down in there. And all these little springs, along with this billet retainer, top and bottom, help engage this a whole lot firmer, a whole lot faster, you know, especially with running a reverse manual valve body. So that was definitely a nice little upgrade. I think this was like 60 bucks if I remember right. So nice little upgrade from, you know, from Cope Racing Transmissions or A&A or whoever you use. The reason I'm also going to order the seal kit is, you know, all these little bolts that hold the front pump on in, you know, are metal washers with like a coating on them so they seal up. And then you'll notice here too, now that I pulled the front pump off, right, you know, the gasket, I'd rather just put a new gasket on and a new big O-ring here, just in case I nicked it. You know, so for just a few bucks, you know, I want to make sure I don't have any leak conditions. All right, guys. So that just gives you a little look inside a 904. You know, at this point in time, I'm going to stop because I need to order a new filter. I want to order just a seal kit, just so I can get a few basic seals to make sure I don't have any leak issues when I put this back together. The inside of it's in great condition. No problems whatsoever with my frictions, no problem whatsoever with my bands. Really happy, you know, like I said, granted it's only 3,000 miles, but since I've got the engine out, I just, you know, and I've got the time this winter, preventative maintenance is key, right? to having a good summer fun with the car. Now that I know it's good, once I get these leaks fixed on it, get her sealed up, get her put all back together, then I can go out and tear on this thing and know for the next few years, I shouldn't have to pull this thing down. Just so you guys know, I actually run hydraulic fluid in my transmission from like Farm and Fleet or Farm in a Hand or Rural King or wherever you can get it from. I run the John Deere hydraulic fluid in mine. And what I do is I add like a quart or two of Type F to it so that way I can read the dipstick. It's a whole lot cheaper running the hydraulic fluid than transmission fluid, buying a bunch of Type F. So I run hydraulic fluid, and I know a lot of racers that do it. So for those of you that have never tried it, it doesn't hurt a darn thing to do it. Like I said, you can, for like, I think it's I don't remember how much you get, but for like $25 or something, it's way cheaper than buying, 5 quarts of transmission fluid. I think you get like 1.5 gallons or something like that. It's maybe 2 gallons. I don't remember how much I buy it in, but anyway, just a little tip there. So what I'm going to do is stop the video here because I need to order some parts. Now I'm not going to go into great detail with this rebuild. This was just to give you an idea of the teardown. I'll kind of do a quick, throw it back together video. But if I get this other 904, I will go through a detailed, inspection, teardown, show you, how to look at your bushings, how to look at your spacers, how to check your gap and your clutches. I'll go through in depth, all that kind of detail in another build. This was just kind of show you my off-season maintenance program that I'm doing right now just to make sure everything's good. So with that, guys, I hope you found this educational, at least what it takes to tear down if you have somebody else build your transmissions, how really easy it is to tear down and take a look at it. And it's pretty easy to go back. I will do a video of putting it back together. Like I said, it's not going to be great detail. It's just, the order that I'm going to pop stuff in, torque stuff back down, seal everything back up, and air check, to make sure that everything applies and, there's no leaks. So I will go through those steps in another video, but that may be a couple weeks until I get the parts and, the time to put it all back in. So anyway, like I said, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Have a great day. Get out your shop, have some fun, and let me know if you have any questions.